I say, yeah, I get it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, mic check 1 2 1 2. On my end is it's looking like it's working. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Ladies and gentlemen, how we doing? How we feeling? Hold up. I gotta do everything. Gotta give myself my own mic check because today no engineer. We in here. We in here. Let me see. Make sure everything is looking. It's looking copacetic. Bop, 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 bop. If you are already found this somehow because I don't know, you turned on the notification, like and share the energy. Come on. If you care what HT got going on, MTI. Sila, by the way. We'll get to that here in a minute. Let me just give myself a quick mic check because it's always what? Okay. We're good actually then. It looks like everything is sounding how it's supposed to. But yeah, welcome to HT speaking to himself, part 10. Part 10. I go by HT or Jesus, depending how well you know me or how close you can get to me. And if you find this, if you are here now, just like and share it. If you care what MTI or HT or Godzilla or Osvaldo, Camilo, or Jose got going on, shows love. Y si llegan aquí y hablan por español, gracias por estar aquí. But yeah, this is another one I'm doing by myself. It was just around that time, and it kind of lined up perfect. It's kind of rainy outside, my type of weather, where I am my best in the cloudiness, in the wet cement. You might end up in a flood if you take the next step, type of weather. So it's raining a little bit out tonight on this Wednesday. Hopefully everybody's having a good week so far. Doing what you got to do, putting your best foot forward. But yeah, today decided we had to do a solo because you know how I get. I gotta. Sometimes I just gotta speak. Sometimes I don't got. I don't. I don't have time to conversate with another human. Sometimes I gotta completely be by myself and have a conversation with myself. In this case, out loud. Because trust me, sometimes curating conversation with other humans, for me at least, yeah, is exhausting sometimes. And obviously depending on the person speaking to. But sometimes, and that's where I'm at right now, where we got to get back to one of these solo ones, speak our mind freely, see where we end up, you know. And as you guys know, this is kind of just my solo thing. Just if you don't know who I am, or you end up here for some random reason because your YouTube recommended me, I am Jesus or HT, and I tend to have a lot of networks of thoughts a lot of the times, and since a while ago, you know, I've been I haven't been able to be able to speak in this true way or in this free way with another person. So, way I kind of like to release, just sit here, think about, shuffle through all my thoughts, the network of my thoughts, and to see what's valid. So I can finally decide just to dispense of it. No longer needs to hold a space in my mind or in my unconscious. Hopefully, right? If we're doing this right, hopefully we are cleaning up that unconscious um part of the mind, because that's the one that matters, ladies and gentlemen. That's the one that matters. So yeah, so this is part 10. Shout out to everybody that's here. As you guys can see in the title, do you care? Do you do you care? Whoa. Yo, I gotta edit that title real quick. But I'll edit afterwards. But what I meant to put, do you care to look interesting every day? Do you care to look interesting every day? Shout out to you, Osvaldo. Shout out to you. Always the funny guy. Shout out to you. I'll appreciate you in here already. But yeah, so the title is actually a quote that I recently heard on another one on a podcast. Shout out to Throwing Fits. They're I would consider them. Well, I mean that's why I watch them for. They're a fashion podcast, and they kind of keep their ear to the streets as far as that conversation. And I think they recently had some British designer. I think he's a sir. He got served by the Queen, and as I was listening to the conversation, he said a very interesting quote that, and this is already 2 months back, but it was interesting because it stuck to my mind like gum. Like I've always been saying it to myself since I heard it, and that's the quote. And that's the quote. Do you care to look interesting every day? Well, I think the reasoning why it caught my attention when he said it, because, well, obviously, first, because if I was going to answer that as a question and not a quote, do you care to look interesting every day, right? I would say I definitely do, right? And obviously he was saying it in the context of fashion and clothes and the way you care to step out of your house every day, you know what I mean? You care to look interesting. Because when you say that or you ask yourself that, how much do you really care about said thing, right? And in the context of this, and as I've spoken about it before, and I'll probably keep speaking about it, I like clothes. I do. I've always liked clothes, right? You know how people are into shoes and and all that since I was young. Clothes is more my thing. I never been into having a lot of shoes. I definitely know how to keep certain things on my feet for sure, but uh, people really love buying shoes and collecting different shoes, and I mean the market is a little weird right now, and it's not what it used to be, or what as far as the shoe game goes and all that reselling stuff, and people dropping things that are worth purchasing. Well, just like that, but I never really shoes has never been my thing. I know how to keep, I know how to keep some, you know, my 1-2 rotation not too shabby, right? So, but clothes has kind of been the thing. And when that guy on that podcast on Throwing Fits, shout out to them, and I think his name is Sir Paul. He is a designer. Yeah, he's definitely a designer. That do you care to look interesting every day? And the way I took it is I do, because I think unconsciously that's kind of what I try to do, right? Every day. And don't get me wrong, sometimes black tee and whatever pants I grab because I'm not in the mood, sometimes that happens too, right? Sometimes. But at the same time, still fit. Because sometimes the best fits are the ones you don't really curate a lot, or almost not that much intention into it, right? Sometimes it is just that random morning, whatever pants you can reach first, whatever tee or black tee or white tee, or and you make it work. That's it. But for me, when it does come to clothes, and that is that, do you care to look interesting every day? And I really do. I do care. It's one of the small things that I can enjoy. It's for me. It's one of those things that keeps me going. It's one of those things that allows me to be okay even after the storm. It's one of those things that even if the world is crumbling right in front of me, It's one of those things that I have where it's just, you know, I can spark that light whenever. That light never goes out, right? And I do care to look interesting because I don't know if it's the eccentric in me, but I've always been like that, even as a child or even before I was able to purchase clothes or really get into it, right? I always felt interesting is the name of the game, right? It's how conversations get started. It's how you create conversation with nobody you with with somebody you never thought you would have a conversation with, right? Is what you bring to that environment in that moment. And I think I understood that early on. Later on, as I got into hip hop and whatnot, it made it a little more clear for me through the roots of hip hop. But I've always done it since I was little. I don't know if it's an only child thing or I don't know. Spending so much time alone when I was young, where I would create in my head. No, and initially, it's it's almost the way I am, and it's the way I learn at the same time. Because even the way, until to this day, the way I understand language, or when you even try to say a word from a different language that you're not native to, the way I get into it is just by mimicking the sound of it, right? Of the pronunciation of it, right? And even me attempting to write is being able to speak a certain way, to use words in a certain way, to bend them naturally through conversation, but not have it be, for lack of a better word, the basic way of regular conversation, right? Is the way I see is I don't know if have you guys ever had a conversation with a blues musician or a jazz player, and when you talk to them, and they have a certain way to say things, right? Like that cat plays the violin, cool, you know. And I don't know where I picked that up when I was a little, but I understood that I like that. I need that kind of flavor, right? Because if I'm gonna go on my way to be social, right? Because you got to do that, and at this point, it's just a brain thing. So luckily, I know how to do that when I need to or when I want to. But it's exhausting for me. I'm not gonna lie, it's extremely difficult sometimes. It was just exhausting. It takes a lot out of me at times, and where I can get depleted and stuff. So in my head is like, so if I have to do that, I'm gonna make it fun. I'm gonna make it interesting. I'm gonna make it the theater, like almost as theater. I'm gonna make it more than a conversation, right? And maybe that's just my general purpose when I think about certain things. I'm just creative. I'm always trying to look at things in a more charming way, if that's the right word, right? And this quote just kind of embodies that. Do you care to look interesting every day, right? Do you care to live on that edge that you've worked so hard to materialize and produce for yourself, even in this reality that at times it's impossible to do, right? And I still have a long way to go in every aspect, in every level, human level, regular mundane human life. But I've been fortunate enough to be able to materialize that and really give things that touch, that magic, that that sauce, that just where a walk across the street doesn't have to be a walk across the street. It could be this way, it could be that way. You know what I mean? Just and that's probably why I write. That's probably why I love taking photos and I love art in general. That's probably why I want to make movies. Because when I see the world in that way, and but the same thing goes for when we care to share the dark side of things or the not so good things of the human synopsis, right? Even the darkness can be romanticized and presented to you in a charming way where you're not 100% okay with that, but you somehow understand because the charm is there, right? There's something that they make you feel, even though you might be too scared to admit it or to even understand what you feel, whatever the case may be. But yeah, that's why I am gonna make movies actually. But yeah, it's just, and to me, it's not even do you care to look interesting every day, or I care to make every moment as much as I can interesting, right? I care to make even the simplest moment more than it should be to certain people. You know what I mean? Because certain people don't care. Most people don't care, and people that are creative and just care about their general surroundings, they care, and there's a lot of those people out there. Shout out to y'all. But yeah, and that I've been whispering that quote to myself since I heard it from that podcast on Throwing Fit. Shout out to them. It's one of those podcasts that I right now that's in my usual rotation of things, just to know, because they got good conversations, not just their opinions and stuff like that. But go check them out if you fuck with the fashion shit. They're pretty solid. But yeah, do you care to look interesting? And I truly do in every way. And I care to make everything as interesting as I could. I could not always do it. And at times, I don't want to do it. At times, you know, you look at things or you interact with somebody, you're like, nah, not this time. I'll keep that one to myself for today. But that's that's in my nature, right? That's if I'm not able to do that, I don't think you get much more of me. Period. Like you literally don't get any of me at that point. Because if I can't do that and I can't change the perspective, I can't change the environment, I can't develop new environments, I'm good. I don't need to exist in this reality per se, right? I don't need to be here because it's not for me, right? And don't get me wrong, as I said earlier, just how being social for me personally can be extremely exhausting. Sometimes it could making a moment or making yourself interesting or making a moment more than it is, that can be exhausting too. I think that's why most people don't do it, right? And most people, brain works different. But that could become exhausting too. And that's why at the same time, you know what? No, I was about to say that, but I don't even think that's true. Well, for me at least. It no, it's not exhausting. Is and then it goes even beyond what you deem if that person should experience that or that environment deserves that twist. No, yeah, 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 it's definitely not that. It's just that's the only way I can live. That's the only way I can exist. That's the only way I can wake up every day, right? And when I can't do that anymore, when I'm not able to make myself, my surroundings, my environment, the people around me interesting in some ways. I don't want to be here no more. Like straight up. Yeah, because as the future continues to occur, no ma- no matter how much peace I find or how much things I'm able to let go of and be okay with it, and, not really bother me. There's certain things I just can't do. I just can't. And because those are the moments where I just struggle in every aspect, emotionally, physically, and stuff like that. It has to be I ha, I need I need this retainable freedom all the time, right? So, for example, nah, I don't want to take it that way with it. Never mind, never mind, never mind, never mind. But yeah, I need to be able to have a chance to make everything as interesting as I can, or at least for my own entertainment or my own just peace. Just if I have to be there or I have to exist next to you or speak to you on a regular basis, you got to add it a twist. When you get when you get when you drink some water, right? But you can add a wedge of lime on it. Still water, still good, and water by itself is good already, but it adds a little something. The citrus of that lemon adds a little something. And and I think that quote embodies that for me. And that's why it's so memorable for me. And shout out to Sir Paul. He's a British designer. I think he has a brand that's called Sir Paul. But yeah, I think he does. He started with jeans. So he does cut and sew now. But yeah, but he said it. Do you care to look interesting every day? Because when you think about it that way, and I know we live in the era where people can just go find the aesthetic, people could just go find the data and copy and paste it, most of the time now when you even see the youth or whoever else is into the threads, it's a copy and paste, right? And that's good and bad because I'm glad you're able to do that as far as being able to dress yourself or put an outfit together where but it's not a lot of creativity at the same time. That's the only thing I I would say towards that. But it's also good because when I was growing up and we were trying to get our hands on certain pieces, it was impossible. You could not find these things, right? I think after 2013, 2014, 2015, that's when, and don't get me wrong, I even then I would somehow find certain boutiques around the city, right? But it was just you had to know. You had to know. If you knew, you knew type thing. But it wasn't that available, that readily available, at least, growing up in Colorado for that reason or Denver. So, it took me a while to get certain pieces that I wanted because of that. Or you would just see it in a magazine, a video, or maybe photos, right? But now everything's available. You don't, everything's available, even on the resale market. And that's good because I remember being frustrated not not being able to get certain pieces at a certain ages when those things were recent. But yeah, the only side is that is we all need inspiration though, right? That's just the human factor, We all need a jumping board or a springboard or a runway to lift off from. I get it. I understand. I love inspiration. Inspiration is my favorite kind of caffeine or fuel, just to say it in that manner. But even through inspiration, you should you should you should stretch your soul and try things that feel good to you, try things um that are natural to you, where and then that's where you develop that style, that swag, that comprehension of knowing what works for you and what looks good on you, right? Because sometimes not everything looks good on us, right? That's just how this goes, and not everything's for everybody, right? So yeah, it's good that like my little brother, like you want to find an aesthetic, you can find it, and you can see it now, right? That's why. But it's almost at the same time, it's odd because even I guess probably rap was well, even when I was doing it, people people would just still kind of be, look like the mannequin. Somehow people were still kind of wearing the same thing. And it was the beginning of the internet, but not as much, right? But even then, people still kind of wore the same thing in a way. So yeah, that's something to think about because maybe, but it is more available now. That's for sure. Less than then, but even then, there was still cookie cutter characters out there, right? And yeah, but if you are into the threads, and that's just kind of because this is my thing. Like I said earlier, I do like clothes, and it's probably a fucking serious obsession that I have at this point. I won't lie to y'all. Up there with good old caffeine, but it's solely for me. To be honest with you, it's just I always say this. If you ever catch me and I'm just probably wearing like a black tee, maybe no hat, maybe bucket hat, maybe fitted, maybe a beanie, and I'm just wearing a black tee and some pants can be whatever and just some pair of shoes, that's when I'm calm. Right? That's when I'm like I'm at peace for that moment, that time. When you see, you know, and today, you know, I'm wearing it just because it's a comfortable hoodie and I'm actually at peace. That's why I'm even on camera and, speaking to y'all. Uh but when you see me when you see me that shit on, I'm probably not feeling that great mentally, But that's for me, I don't do it to say, look, I'm wearing this brand. Nah, I don't give a fuck. Like I always said, I could walk into Walmart, Target, Goodwill for that matter, and I'll put something together. Don't worry about me. Right? Don't get me wrong. I definitely do like some brands that I'm willing to wait um, spend my money on. That's a fact. But it's not even for that. It's just for me. I like it, and just everything else I'm interested in or care to give it space in my mind is I gotta feel like it's real. I gotta feel like there's a real story, right? And I gotta hear the designer. Let me see how he's. Let me see, you know, what his stream of consciousness is, and how did he get there, right? Because a name is just a name, but what's behind that name? What's that structure holding up that name? That's how anything I get myself involved into or I choose to have an interest in it comes from where it has to resonate with me in a real way. The same thing goes for clothes. But like I said, I do it for me. I don't do it just for you to look at me like, no, bro. Like I do this for me. This is one of the small things in life that I get to enjoy, and that makes a big difference for me, and allows me to continue on. As sometimes, and the reason why we find ourselves here, ladies and gentlemen, when I find myself in the dark and romanticizing it and having that dance with it once again. And yeah, that's what it is. So, if you are listening to this or you will get to this, I have a simple question for you. Do you care to look interesting every day? And that's That's a rhetorical question in the highest sense. Answer that for yourself. And if it's a no, say what? Tell yourself why. And if it's a yes, explain to yourself why. Right? And that's my most recent new favorite quote that I've heard in a while. Do you care to look interesting right? Because if I die tomorrow, you guys got to see me look interesting, right? That's kind of the thing, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, so ask yourself, do you care to look interesting? So, the other thing that you see in the title is I recently got to experience, got to be part of, and I'm still debating as far as the videos that I'm going to release that I've been editing. So debating how much of that I'm going to even put out and stuff like that. But if it comes out, then you'll be able to see the video of these things. But I recently was given the opportunity to experience a wedding. And not just to experience it as a guest, but to actually be part of a wedding, be part of the wedding party, as they say, right? And that was the first time I got to actually fully see that process. That's the first time I got to really see it, because as a child growing up and watching old 90s movies and early 2000 movies and whatnot, I only see it in the movies, right? I only seen it in the movies. And to be honest with y'all, I always treated it like a movie in the sense that, oh, that just happens in the movies. That doesn't happen in real life. That just happens in the movies, right? And I think I'm just realizing right now in front of y'all. I'm having that epiphany right now, actually. Since my first exposure of even that thought or those type of moments were exposed to me to cinema through movies, I treated it like a movie. And when I say that is that, for the most part, and of course they can be based on true stories and whatnot, but for the most part, you don't take a movie that serious. You get entertained for those 3 hours that you watch, but you don't treat it as real for the most part, right? I mean, unless you watch movies such as Oppenheimer, that's based on real things. If you watch Goodfellas, that's all based on real things. And, there's specific things that definitely have some reality to it. But even those, due to movie magic, they can get twisted, right? Or they can get cut so it matches a frame of time where the audience doesn't get bored, or unnecessariness of scenes or dialogue, And yeah, until recently, in my adult life, I didn't think that was possible. I didn't think that was a thing, let alone me doing it in my own life, let alone me even ever being able to experience that or being able to be part of that in a real way. And as I was going through this experience, and those moments that progressed and those moments that led to that, there was a lot of thinking, there was a lot of hard emotion just washing over me, you know what I mean? I almost felt I was getting waterboarded by the ocean, just by pure emotions, from the beginning to the end of that whole weekend. It was just a I was thinking things I never thought I would think. I was feeling things I never thought I would feel. And at times, even even as present as I was in certain moments, I wouldn't say I was present 100% because I definitely dissociated a couple of times for sure because it was just a lot. But the times I was present, it was hard not to think it was a movie. It was hard not to think that at the end of the day, these are all costumes. You know what I mean? And that's just like I said earlier, because in my personal life, in my human experience, I didn't grow up around that kind of stuff. That wasn't normality for me, right? That wasn't regular. You know, I didn't, I didn't, you know, wedding wasn't a thing, right? And maybe it was if I really pay attention now and I go back to reminisce to those times, maybe in the distance somebody was, but, and even if it was still there, I didn't feel it or I didn't care to remember it for sure. So even even if it was at a distance, it was still not real for me. It was more, oh, this only happens in movies, or let alone this only happens for certain kind of people. And and and, and I'm and I am happy that I had the experience. It's very intriguing, very interesting when you watch humans behave in this way or have these kind of gatherings for what is deemed to be in love, you know, and whatnot. So I definitely got to observe a lot of things. I got to see a lot of things, a lot of interesting behaviors for sure across the board, you know. So that was because me, I'm always out here just picking up raw data anywhere I go. Shoot, I'll turn you to a science experiment real quick if I don't if there's no other use for you in that moment. You know what I mean? So me, I'm always out there observing. I'm always looking. I'm always curious. I'm always taking a second look, taking a double look, or or re-saying something I heard in the distance just to see what. Okay, okay, okay. That was okay, okay. You know what I mean? And it was a cool experience for sure. I won't, and I'm glad I had it. But my gratitude, or even be able to, be invited and stuff of that nature. But I think, I think what? So I think I I think I had a hangover from the wedding, and not because of the alcohol, just like a general hangover where I was socially depleted. All my systems were ran to the max. It took me until Tuesday, maybe Wednesday in reality. So it was Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday wasn't really, but it took me till Tuesday or Wednesday to fully recover and to fully kind of come back and to fully kind of, you know, pull the pieces of myself that, you know, I left along that experience or that moments that occurred, right? Yeah, it was heavy for me. It was heavy. It almost felt like I was the one getting married, but I wasn't. I was just almost a guest, part of the wedding party and stuff. But it almost so because I was anxious the whole time. I was pretty good about hiding it and shit or whatever. But it was an intense experience for me, to be honest with y'all. It was really intense. it made me feel things. I'm not gonna say it made me feel things that I haven't felt before. It made me feel things that I haven't felt in a really long time. In a really long time. And further yet, it made me think about certain things, right? Because sometimes I say jokingly or whatever the case may be, but the universe likes to fuck with me. It does, in the most positive way, right? I like to think the universe fucks with me, right? In different ways, right? And I think that was that experience. The best way I can word it was the universe having one of its best laughs it's had in a while as it observed me through this, right? It was a roller coaster, because usually, especially for anything new that I'm about to do for the first time in my life, I'm always okay. I'm gonna go in there neutral, kind of, blend in the back, mind my business type thing. That's my general state of mind. Every time I'm gonna have to be in a new environment, walk into a new environment, be around people I've never been around before. That's kind of my general thinking. I'm just gonna kind of walk in neutral, blend in the back, mind my business, just have the experience, don't mind me. I'm not even here technically. And I did for the most part. But at the same time, I didn't. 'Cause at some point, I didn't even want to close my eyes anymore because every time I would close my eyes, there would be a tsunami of emotions and thoughts and ideas that would just blindside me. That would just happen, and it would be one of those where it kind of almost didn't have nothing to do with the context of the experience. It would just appear, right? It was the way I would say it. It was a psilocybin trip, but through a wedding because things were getting brought up in my unconscious. Things were jumping out at me that for the most part, I got them bitches locked up. And the key is my soul, so they ain't coming out. Ooh. And the key is my soul, so they ain't coming out. Oh, I kind of like that one. I'm gonna have to write that one down if I remember. But anyways, but they were free, all of them, running a fucking muck in my unconscious mind, bruh. Like it, and like I said, and luckily, I was kind of the end of the line and everything. I was kind of more background, so it was easy to just kind of blend in and like kind of disappear in those moments where it's just like, yo, what's going on right now? Why am I having this intense rush of feelings and thoughts and emotions and past, future, present? The best way I could put it to you, I would describe it as a psilocybin trip, right? And look, ladies and gentlemen, if you're here, you know what I mean. But if you bump into this and it's your first time, ladies, listening to my insane ass today, speaking to myself out loud here, you were probably saying to yourself, what you mean, man? It's just a wedding. Chill the fuck out. It's not that fucking serious, right? In the grand scheme of things, of course. But fuck you. It was intense for me. And it was eye opening. It was intense. I was also fun. It was also liberating, you know? It was also really fun, really cool, but just like a psilocybin trip. At some point you'll enjoy the roller coaster. But at some other points, you don't want to be there. You don't like that feeling, but you can't go nowhere because you're strapped up. It is what it is now, right? And that's what it was, you know? And shout out to my glasses, yo. My glasses were like my partner in crime that day. Those are the things that saved me that day because I was, any chance I got, black lenses. You can't even see my eyes because at some point I didn't want to like look at people or stare at people because it was just, I don't know. There was always a mind of intensity in every step I took, right? And depending on what I allow myself, well, not even allow myself, I would have to entertain it or I would have to deal with it in that moment. I didn't really have an option. Like I said, it was very similar to a psilocybin dose or trip. Well, just from my general humble opinion from my past psilocybin trips, right? And it answered questions for me that I thought I didn't want to answer no more, or I didn't know. But it answered some questions that I guess I stopped caring to answer a long time ago, just because I was willing to accept my faith, as uncomfortable that sounds to say to a certain degree, with certain things, of course, in my life, with myself, you know. But it was a hell of an experience. It was cool. It was incredible. It was awesome. It was all the positive things you can think of, but all the dark things that you know me for, basically, right? Because as far as the psilocybin trip, ladies and gentlemen, there's no such thing as a bad trip. There's such thing as you not knowing your mind, and you not knowing who you are, and you're not exploring those dark dimensions of your own brain. That's what makes it a bad trip. Bad trips don't exist. A quick PSA from HT and MTI. Bad trips don't exist. Bad trips are made by you. And life in the psychedelic realm and creativity, whatever context you want to give it to. So it wasn't a bad trip. It was just a phenomenal, but at the same time, extremely dark for me. Luckily, I was able to dance my ass off all night. That actually helped a lot. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, one fun fact about Jesus or HT or whatever the fuck you care to call me. Mm, I enjoy dancing. I really do. I do. I think it's been since I was little, you know? Even if I don't know how to dance, I enjoy dancing, right? I think I know how to dance, right? It's people. But I enjoy dancing. Dancing is like very freeing. It's it's needed. The body needs to be able to move in that way and release in that way, right? What Bruce Lee used to say, move like water or be water. That was his whole philosophy around his martial arts. And yeah, I really enjoyed dancing. I actually got to dance a lot that night, and that was another way where that helped a lot, and that was a good release for those intense emotions, right? And I'm thankful for that experience. That was a real experience. I'm glad I got to be part of it. That was really awesome, cool. But Now I gotta answer questions for myself that I thought I left in the past because I stopped caring to answer them or to have the curiosity to understand them even more and why I had them. But now it seems like I'm gonna have to answer this, right? I'm gonna have to pick a side almost to a certain degree because, ladies and gentlemen, it's not that I'm against it. It's not that I oppose getting married or if it's something you can do and it's something you truly no, you know what? I'm gonna take that back. But I definitely don't oppose it. Teach as his own. Do whatever the fuck you want with your life. Go live in a fucking mountain. I don't care, right? Go grow crystals up your ass. I don't care, right? So, and the reason why I'm saying that is, as I said at the beginning of today's conversation or today's out, out loud speaking, if I don't feel it in my soul, probably not gonna do it. Just like everything else. And I'm not opposed to it, but if I don't feel it in my soul or it doesn't come out naturally, organically to me or to that conclusion, I'm not. I'm not. In no way put myself in that position, right? And mainly, the reason why the intensity was so much there is because, like I've said before, I still to this day don't see myself doing such things. I don't. I just I didn't grow up. I didn't have that, right? And it'd be lovely, don't get me wrong, but only if my soul felt it. Only if we reached a natural path to it. That's the only way. You know what I mean? But it is cool to see. It is cool to see that the movie is real and being able to see two humans reach that point within each other is very beautiful. Because don't get me wrong, ladies and gentlemen, I am a romantic. I am a sad boy for sure. You know what I mean? I love my R&B. I love a good heartbreak song. You don't get me wrong. But but I don't know. Sometimes I think this is how far I go. Sometimes I feel like I'm here for the heartbreak only, nothing else. And that's where I'm at right now. That's what I'm feeling. That's what I've been thinking. That's where you know I'm swimming through through sand dunes of emotions. Since then, in the most manageable way. Don't get scared. We good over here. We straight over here. But yeah, that's how that experience made me feel. You know what I mean? And the last thing I want to put in the air today before I get up out of here. I got a solid 60 minutes. That's not too shabby. Hey Julian, you better come next week, bitch. I'm saying it right now, fam. You better be here. Because I wasn't supposed to do a solo stream today, ladies and gentlemen. I was gonna bring a new homie around that is charismatic, is hilarious as fuck, and is a real person. Right? At least I deem him so far. You flaked on me. No, I'm fucking with you, Julian. You had some shit come up. I get it, son. But I do here next week, man. The show the let's show the show the world some Julian. It's worth it, man. You hilarious as fuck. So hopefully next Wednesday, you guys will see me on stream with a person you haven't seen me with, or maybe two, depending how this shit goes down. So shout out to Julian. Hopefully we get him as a guest. It will be a higher thought show. Or maybe shoot, I'm engineering producing it and they do their own thing. We'll see how it goes. But shout out to MTI. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to all my loved ones. Shout out to my family. You know what? That's where I want to end off. Family. Still the most priceless thing that I have in this moment, in this part of my life. When I say family, I'm talking about the people, that I live with, the people that I see on a day-to-day basis, my family, right? Still one of the most priceless things that I get to have or I get to lean on. And I'm not going to say too much, and I'm probably not going to talk about this, but yesterday we had a crucial conversation as a family for the next steps of our advancements in every way possible. And I'm really proud of that. That's exciting for me. And I'm finally seeing people that's been in my life for a very long time, and it's the reason why I'm even in front of you right now, speaking my shit, finally stepping up to the plate, finally intentionally initiating the role that was always theirs. I love to see it. That means it's grow across the board. And finally, I'm not the only one that's growing, and I'm not the only one changing the state of mind of myself. I'm seeing the people that I truly love and care about and would die for doing it right in front of my eyes. So my deep gratitude to that. I'm very thankful that I get to, that I've worked so hard and sacrificed so much for those specific moments to actually occur for me. And that was another thing, as I was mentioning before, that sometimes I didn't even think we were going to even get there anymore. I'm not going to lie to y'all, right? But I'm glad I was wrong. I love being wrong. Being wrong is better than being right. Because when you're right and you can predict the future, even if you know it, it's still going to hurt. Trust me. But ladies and gentlemen, shout out to everybody who got in here. Shout out to everybody that is showing me love. Shout out to my team. Shout out to Camilo. I see you in the chat. Shout out to everybody, my loved ones. Shout out to everybody, thank you for everybody, man. And if you care what MTI got going on, what HC got going on, subscribe, share the energy, man. We here. We are here this Thursday. You'll see the squad in this bitch. So Thursday stream is coming as usual with everybody, hopefully. And got to see that merch. As you guys could tell, go bug him on his Instagram. Go subscribe to him on every platform. Go stream them original tracks. I think track is dropping soon. We are moving, ladies and gentlemen. MTI Records is moving. That boy moving. That boy, we making it happen, as you guys can see through the content and stuff and what we're doing. So shout out to Katsila, another crucial member of not just this, but the other stuff I was talking about prior. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time, your thoughts. I am HT or Jesus, depending how well you know me or how close you can get to me. And this has been another one. HT speak to himself. I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.